You know, in most Reiki classes, most Reiki trainings, you will probably hear of these mandatory 21 days in between your levels. And I'm saying most because unfortunately there are teachers out there that are claiming to be able to teach Reiki, all the levels, by the way, in just one weekend, or maybe like level 1 and level 2 back to back. This video, I really want to dive into the reason why we shouldn't rush our practice and why we shouldn't rush our trainings. You know, first off, the practice of Usui Reiki Ryoho, which is what I always mean by the word Reiki, is a practice of going into the self. We are not able to heal anybody else. The practice of Reiki is not about healing other people. It's not about healing your clients, or it's not a rush so that you can open a business or open a practice or start, taking in clients and offering Reiki sessions and so on. Reiki is an intimate journey into the self. And there's an abundance of evidence to show that this is an internal journey. If we look, for instance, at the full name of Usui Reiki Ryoho, which is Shin Shin Kaizen Usui Reiki Ryoho, then we can start to understand that this is only an internal journey. Shin Shin Kaizen means the continuous improvement method of the mind and then the body that was first brought to us by Usui Sensei. Whose mind and body? Yours, right? Not your clients, not anybody else's. And also, if we look at the tenets or the fundamental cornerstones of the practice of Reiki, there's only 3. There's the daily recitation of the precepts, and then there's the daily treatment, and then on top of that, the third one is the attunement process. So nowhere in that is in the name or in the cornerstones of the practice is the focus on the external world. It's only on you. And I really want to encourage everybody to take your training slowly. Just take it step by step. Look at the precepts. Gyohagame is doing your work honestly. So here's a question that you might ask yourself, especially if you're considering a training in Reiki and you are considering a teacher who is offering, level 1 on a Saturday and level 2 on a Sunday, for instance. Gyohagame is doing your work honestly. So if we look at that precept, then how could it be that on Friday night you have no understanding of what Reiki is, and by Sunday afternoon you're ready to heal other people? If it was that easy, I wish it was that easy, because then, like I've said so many times on this channel, then we could just go and see a Reiki practitioner and we could instantly be healed from all of our issues. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's never the case. So, these types of languages are framed in belief, they're framed in pretense, they are definitely removed from the practice of Reiki. And it's really a call to everyone who might be listening, if you're a student and a teacher. It's really a call to go back to the precepts. Gyohagame, do your work honestly. Recognize the fundamental meanings of the practice of Reiki are all about the internal journey of the self. If we start to recognize that, then there would be no reason or no interest or no desire for us to hurry that process. We wouldn't be thinking, okay, this weekend I'm going to knock out level 1 and 2, and then by Sunday I'm going to be starting to take clients. We wouldn't be thinking like this because we need to do the journey ourselves. We need to do the work on ourselves. Just like the cornerstones of the practice demand us to recognize. There's nothing at all in those cornerstones about seeing other people. There's nothing at all in those cornerstones of the practice about anything external beyond the self. So Reiki is constantly about the self. Notice in level 1, you would learn the hand placements and you'll learn about the diamonds of the self, right? Or maybe you could loosely interpret that as being the chakras. You're learning about the energy system of the body, which is the nervous system. You're learning how to calm all of that down. You're learning about the precepts of Reiki, which is all for you, by the way. It's not anything else, right? It's not that just for today, I hope the world is not angry, or just for today, I hope that the world doesn't worry. It's just for today, worry not. Just for today, anger not, right? We are going into the self. We're always talking about the self. Shoden means the first teachings of Usui Reiki Ryoho. whereas Okudan means the inner truth of Usui Reiki Ryoho. Most people take Okudan to think that it is the external practice of Reiki. We can't heal anything in the external world. The only thing that we can affect change on is ourselves. Nobody can heal me except me. I can't go to a Reiki healer and have them do a bunch of things that happen mostly in a lot of Western lineages of Reiki, where they're going to pull out cords and cut attachments and do all these types of things. None of those things can happen unless I'm doing my own deep personal work, which is what Usui Reiki Ryoho is really about. So that brings me all the way back to the point of this video, is to not rush those 21 days. You know, what I say to my students is, if they're brand new to the practice, if they're, let's say it's a brand new Shoden student, they've never practiced Reiki before, they've never even tried it, anything like that. So that person will walk through their entire training with me for level 1. And then at a bare minimum, they need to practice every day for 21 days. But again, we go back to the precepts here. We go back to Gyohagime. Gyohagime is this, again, this idea of doing your work honestly. So at the end of 21 days, what I kind of ask and inquire to my students is, do you feel that those 21 days brought you deep enough into yourself? Do you feel that you were able to commit in that time and really turn inward with a neutral and loving awareness? Not an attached awareness, not an awareness based on belief or anything like that, but just turning into the self. And if yes, then maybe we can progress onward to Okudan. Maybe we can go in one step further. But if no, and this is even more important in my opinion, it's more important here for the student to say, you know what, those 21 days got busy, I really couldn't commit like I wanted to. That's beautiful. Then stay with level 1 until you're ready to go on. We are learning far too much in each one of the levels to cover all of it effectively, and more importantly, internalize it and integrate it into the self in each of these levels to be able to recognize that in one weekend. It's just not possible. There's far too much in the journey, right, at stake here. And you know, I'm always kind of wrestling, like, why is this such a big issue in the Reiki world? Why is it that so many teachers you can find out there can just kind of give you the class and not even check up, or just say you can learn all of this in one weekend and so on? I think it's a lack of education, and I think more importantly, it's a lack of understanding of what Reiki is really about, and it's a lack of that being taught effectively to students. So I think we can really just ask ourselves some kind of basic or rhetorical questions here. If you could learn how to heal other people in just 2 days, then we would all be doing that. We would all be master healers, right? And if you could learn how to heal somebody in 2 days, and you can learn that from a teacher, then that teacher must be performing miracles on a daily basis. Now, I'm not discrediting the ability of that teacher to maybe hold very beautiful sessions, to see their clients and so on, but correlation and causation are very different things. And so it very well may be that hindsight is 20/20, like we all know it is. So we might be looking back on particular instances with these teachers that can be cherry-picked to say, look how amazing this is, I had such an incredible session and so on. And that's fine. I'm not discrediting the ability of all of us to be able to heal. Our journey always has to be into the self. That's the point that I'm getting to here. And we can cherry pick, you know, examples, or we can give testimonials and do all these types of things that make it seem like it's appropriate to learn Reiki in just a weekend, or, you know, very, very quickly anyways, without these 21 days. But to me, this is going against the precepts. It's going against the understanding of what Reiki is really about. It's going against the title of Reiki. It's going against the fundamental cornerstones of the practice. It's almost, if not literally, going against every single aspect of the practice of Usui Reiki Ryoho. So there's no rush. There's no rush in this. We spend our entire lives trying to heal ourselves, right? Working on letting go of attachments and turning into the self, and trying to make our journey in this life more peaceful, right? And more loving and more caring and more honest and more free from all of the attachments and suffering that come from a busy mind and an active ego and so on. If we go into classes that are promising to be able to learn how to heal other people in 2 days, then we're not working, in my opinion, towards a peaceful mind and a quiet body. Indeed, we're doing the opposite. We're working towards an attached mind and a suffering body. We're working towards a mind that is clouded by belief. I just learned this thing in like 6 hours, and now I can use it by beaming energy out of my hands to heal other people. That's just simply not how it is. The rhetorical question that I would ask here is, if it's that easy, then why isn't everybody doing it? And if it's that easy, then the people who have learned it, they should be healing everybody instantaneously. Just look at the external world. Look at the evidence. Look at what Reiki means. Look at the cornerstones of the practice. Look at the name of the practice. And so I hope with all of that together, we can see why we shouldn't rush the practice. And, you know, maybe for some of you who are listening, you might have doubts on that. You might have questions. You might wonder, you know, like, but everybody can learn at their own pace. And, you know, Reiki energy is open to everybody. Indeed, it's the energy of the universe. So we can turn into it and we can learn how to utilize it effectively and immediately. Okay, all of these things are relatively valid points without going deeper into them. If you are still drawn to a class where you can learn Reiki as promised in a weekend, then you might ask yourself, why is it that you want to rush the learning of such a beautiful practice? What is there to be gained by learning it in a way that is completely against the precepts? What is there to be gained in you rushing through your practice of Reiki? Because it's like everything else in life. If we rush through it, and if we don't give it the attention that it demands, if we don't give it the practice that it demands, then it's never going to bear fruit. And this is the thing that I find so humbling about the practice of Reiki, is people who are committed to Usui Reiki Ryoho, are committed to practicing Reiki, just like meditation and just like a lot of other spiritual pursuits or metaphysical pursuits. People who are sincerely committed to it and who sincerely practice it, they know we have to practice it every day, whatever it is, for the rest of our life. We can never not practice because we always have to work on letting go of the self. So if we jump into a class on Saturday and then level 2 on Sunday, and then at the end of that, congratulations, you're a healer, maybe ask yourself, why are you doing that? Why are you rushing things? And take a step back and dive a little bit deeper into what Reiki really means. Dive a little bit deeper into what Usui Reiki Ryoho means. Because assuredly, anybody teaching Reiki in a weekend or like this, like online, where they're not even guiding you, they're not even, you know, offering support and so on, they're not even giving follow-ups or whatever, most likely that's not Usui Reiki Ryoho. Most likely that's a side branch of Reiki, a new iteration of Reiki, a Western branch of Reiki, or whatever it might be. And I would really strongly urge you to consider the motives of both the teacher and the course. This is such a beautiful journey. It's such an incredible journey, and it's such a liberating journey if you turn it into yourself and if you recognize that this journey has no destination, it has no end. The only thing we're trying to do is cultivate a quiet mind and a peaceful body, Shin Shin Kaizen. And so that's on me to do, not on my teachers, you know, not on me rushing through everything or whatever. It's on me to sit down and work on every single day. And everything that comes from that, even healing, all of those are byproducts of the practice. Reiki is not a practice about healing. It is a practice about onsen ritsume, or a practice that is working to cultivate a peaceful mind and a quiet body. And from that, healing occurs as a byproduct. From that, you might be able to open up a practice and see other clients, but you are still only focusing on yourself, always, right? I would urge you, please, to learn Reiki as it's taught initially, as it's taught via Usui Reiki Ryoho, as it's taught at its roots. I would urge you to seek out teachers that have a depth of training where you're going to be learning it, I don't want to say correctly the first time, but where you're going to be learning from somebody who is following all the tenets of the practice, because that's only going to benefit you. I would bet, assuredly, that anybody who is learning Reiki in a weekend those people, the attrition rate of those people is going to be very, very, very high, because that's going to be full of promises and it's not going to deliver. Just like with everything else in life, it's most likely going to be a letdown. So learn it honestly, dedicate your time to the practice, and enjoy the beautiful journey that is Usui Reiki Ryoho. Thank you, everybody. As always, be well, and in Gassho to all.